Introducing Ivotion Digital Dentures from Ivoclar. Experience unparalleled precision and efficiency with Ivoclar's state-of-the-art digital denture workflow.
Ivotion is available in their patent-pending monolithic disc that combines denture base and tooth materials in one seamless puck.
Ivotion is also available as standalone discs, Ivotion base, dent, and dent multi, that all in a 98mm width to fit your favorite milling machine.
With Ivotion, you can streamline your lab's processes, reduce production time, and enhance your patient satisfaction.
These things look amazing. Elevate your lab's capabilities with Ivotion Digital Dentures, where innovation meets perfection. Discover the future of dentures today with Ivoclar. And as always, we thank you for your continued support of the podcast. Welcome to Voices from the Bench, a dental laboratory podcast. Send us an email at info@voicesfromthebench.com and follow us on Facebook and Instagram. Greetings and welcome to episode 334 of Voices from the Bench. My name is Elvis.
You should say, my name is I have a cold, but...
I do.
You sound a little sniffly. I'm Barbara, by the way.
Yeah, it was a rough week last week. About Wednesday, started getting that sore throat feeling.
Oh.
Thursday, the nose wouldn't stop running. By Friday, I was ready to take a nap all day. Here we are Sunday. I think I'm on the mend. I hope. I got a busy week, but it's been rough.
But it's not COVID, so that's good. But you
That
definitely
is true.
Sniffly, so.
Yeah, it's not a fun time to be a chairside type role.
Ooh, yeah.
It's hard.
Such a great point. Ugh.
It is very hard to
lean over and
not only just like fake that you're not sick, but at the same time just keep your distance.
Yeah.
Gloves, mask, wash your hands a lot.
And control your snot as you're leaning over. Yeah.
Yeah.
Fun.
Yeah. I don't know how dentists do it all the time.
No way.
So how are you? What's going on?
I'm good. I'm in Florida.
Yeah.
Went for a nice run yesterday, going for a good run today, and then I'm going to lay out in the sun and do what we Floridians do.
Jeez.
Chill.
Yeah. I'm thinking about going back to bed. So.
Okay. So what's up this week?
Well, it's been a while. But we have a new member to welcome to the Golden Bench Club.
All right.
The best of the best, above all the rest. They are the definition of amazing dental technicians. They gave us 5 stars. That makes them superstars. Welcome to the Golden Bench Club.
All right, Barb. Tell people how they can get into the Golden Bench Club.
All you have to do is leave us a 5-star review on your favorite podcast app and write us a comment like, you're amazing, we love you, something super positive. Then just take a quick screenshot and email it to info@voicesfromthebench.com and you're in. That's it.
It's real easy, people. And you get to be a part of this exclusive club.
Yeah.
So this week, this one comes from Jonathan Weiss. Not sure. Sorry, sir. He's the VP of Business Development with the Bago USA company.
Wow.
Which is kind of cool. Yeah.
A bigwig.
Yeah. He writes, "Hi, Barbara. Hi, Elvis." Probably not with that high-pitched voice. Let me try it again.
Or the snot.
Hi, Barbara. Hi, Elvis. Thank you for your service for the industry. I am still new to the dental world, and I am soaking up the episodes of Voices from the Bench like a sponge. It's truly a 10 out of 10 source to learn about what's the latest and greatest and shines a light on the remarkable people that make dental move.
Aww.
Hope to meet you in person at one of the upcoming shows to say hi.
Nice.
Definitely, Jonathan. Make sure you come by and see us at the next show.
For sure.
And thanks, Jonathan, and welcome to the Golden Bench Club.
Welcome to the Golden Bench Club.
Remember, keep those 5-star reviews coming. They allow more people to discover the podcast, and honestly, they make Barb and I feel really good about ourselves.
True that.
So this week, we are finally back to the solo guest episodes. We had a really long run of amazing guests from the exocad Insights when we were in Spain, and then we shifted right into the FDLA when we were in Florida. And it's actually good to get back to the in-depth conversations that we love so much.
And of course, I missed this one.
Of course, you missed the first one.
Damn it.
I don't know what you were doing.
Yeah, I was probably working.
We're all going to just assume you were working.
Yeah.
But I had a chance to learn all about a company called OQCAM and the CEO, Kris Wouters. See, Kris studied physics in school, and he got into a 3D printing company back in the mid-90s. Wow. I think I was still playing a Game Boy back then.
I bet you were.
His early claim to fame is that he helped create the Simplant software before it was bought by Dentsply. He eventually joined a company called OQTON, whose purpose was to simplify automation. They had a dental division, and they decided to form their own dental-specific version of the company called OQCAM.
Nice.
Yeah, Kris talks about using AI as a tool, how OQCAM can help you take a design file for any type of restoration and let automation handle the rest of the workflow. It's some pretty fascinating stuff that can benefit both large and small labs. So join us as we chat with Kris Wouters. Voices from the Bench. The interview. We are super excited today to welcome a gentleman who's bringing AI and automation into our industry from a company that I don't think I can pronounce. OQCAM? How do you pronounce that?
OQCAM.
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 OQCAM. I love it. OQCAM. Welcome to the podcast, Kris Wouters. How are you, sir?
Thank you very much. I'm doing excellent. And thank you for having me, Elvis. It's great to be on the show.
No, we appreciate you coming on. I don't know a whole lot about what you do, but I do know that, like I mentioned, it's all about kind of automation with AI within the dental lab space, specifically the dental lab space, which is pretty exciting because a lot of the people in our industry are coming from outside the industry.
Yeah. So what we do in a nutshell is to simplify dental cam.
Yeah.
And that, by the way, is also part of the name OQCAM. It's a reference to Occam's razor, like the principle promoting simplicity. So we want to simplify dental cam, whether it's for 3D printing or CNC. Everything we do revolves around that. And yes, indeed, we heavily rely on artificial intelligence to make that happen.
So before we dive deep into all of that, tell me about yourself, Kris. Where do you come from? I mean, do you have a dental background?
Not by education, but there always has been an interest. So,
okay.
Yeah, but throughout my career, I've been crossing a path with the dental industry many times. So actually, I mean, if we start really at the beginning, after high school, when you decide what you wanna become, I was always doubting between medicine and physics, and I chose physics. But then after that, I thought that's the way to better understand the world, which is, of course, false assumption. Doesn't work. It was a good try. But then I wanted to bridge after that again, direction medicine, and I did a postgraduate in biomedical engineering, which then was sort of the bridge between the theory and more the medical world.
Wow.
Then, I worked really briefly at university. And at the back of the campus, there was this spin-off from university and a pioneer in 3D printing. That term wasn't coined at all at the time. We're speaking 96. But it was a pioneer, and today still is a pioneer. That spin-off still has the same name. It's called Materialize. Many people know that company, one of the pioneers in 3D printing. And I joined that company to work out the medical applications, and I stayed with that company for 25 years, always working on...
wow.
Yeah, quite a time. Always working on the healthcare applications, and dental always has been important. And that is, I mean, you mentioned people coming from the outside world. The dental environment is really special for when you're talking 3D printing specifically, because in dental, everything you do is patient specific. It's custom
Yeah.
made, and this is unique. There's no other application where this is the case. In many other applications, you have some customization. You have it in automotive, you have it in aerospace, but you obviously have it in healthcare as well, with surgical guides that help transfer a plan, personalized implants even, but it's often niche. It are very specific applications, not so in dental. Everything is patient specific, so it's so prone to use digital techniques like 3D printing and CNC. And that's why dental, I've come across it all the time. My time at Materialize, it was mostly an implant planning software and then surgical guides that come with it to link that plan to the patient. So, I mean, many of you will still know the product as Simplant, implant planning software.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
One of my babies.
No kidding. You had a lot to do with Simplant, huh?
Yes, from the beginning till it got sold to Dentsply Sirona. And then I stayed on Materialize side, like I said, 3D printing pioneer, 25 years. It was fun those years, and I did so many things, so many roles, worked in different countries, including United States. But in the end, you have done everything, right? And then I decided that it was 3 years and a half ago, I was ready for a new adventure, and I joined OQTON. Not yet OQCAM, but the OQ, the OQ is the same, and there's a very good reason for it. I'll get to that. Then I joined OQTON, which originally is a startup from Silicon Valley, created by people from Autodesk. Focusing on simplifying digital production in general across all industries.
Okay, so not dental specific, not medical specific.
Not dental specific, indeed. But when I came on board, obviously my role was again to work out the healthcare applications and mature these, and that worked very, very well. I mean, people now start to be very familiar with the OQTON software. And then we got purchased by 3D Systems, and a bit later there was the need for focus on both ends, on 3D Systems side, but also on OQTON side, because if you want to do this and you want to create a platform for so many different applications, lots of industrial applications, other medical applications, it becomes hard. One and the same software for everything is sometimes then slowing you down.
That makes sense.
And so recently, and now I'm fast forwarding to 1st of May, we concluded a buyout. So the whole dental team of OQTON did a buyout from OQTON towards this new company, OQCAM, focusing fully on dental. And this opens a few opportunities for us. We now only need to worry about dental customers, about dental labs, and we can make our product specifically for this, so we can further simplify it. We can also accelerate because of this focus. And that's where I'm very excited to be the CEO of that new company, OQCAM, where the OQ is obviously referring to the OQ from OQTON, because we're very proud of our roots.
Yeah.
And the CAM is referring to the CAM that we're simplifying. And the OQCAM is referring to OQCAM's razor, the principle of simplicity, and simplifying dental CAM is what we stand for. So that's where it all making sense.
I love it. I kind of want to go back real quick and talk about, you said you got into 3D printing back in 1996?
Yes.
God, what was it like back then? I bet you it was terrible.
Yeah, I'm what people refer to now as a dinosaur, but anyhow. But I mean, I wasn't the first. So I joined in 96, but Materialize started in 1990. And they did this using one of the first machines of 3D systems. So, I mean, Materialize 3D systems, all pioneers in 3D printing. But yeah, those days it was very, very hands on. Printers needed to be babysitted a lot.
Oh, I bet.
Even when people think today this is the case, in the early days this was pretty crazy. But yeah, it was fun to be part of it.
Yeah, I'm guessing by your accent, did not happen in America. Where are you from?
I'm indeed. I'm from Belgium.
Oh, excellent. So all this, the original company and OQAM and all that's based in Belgium?
When I spoke about Materialize, yes, that's a Belgian company. OQTON, OQCAM, originally Silicon Valley,
Okay, yeah, you did say that, yeah.
but always with an important representation from key people from Belgium, and that's sort of how it happened that over time the headquarters shifted to Belgium as well.
So getting into 3D printing back in those early days, I mean, how long did it take to print something? Was it like forever?
It was definitely slower than today.
Yeah.
At the time, the only technique that existed at the time, by the way, was resin. And then later on, some other techniques came up. But the very first 3D printer was a resin printer. And over time, I mean, chemical developments created resin that reacted faster, so
Yeah.
you could print faster, and the laser scanners became better, so they could scan faster. And yes, the speed has been improving, but not by a factor 100 or so. I mean, those machines were slow, yes, but
Yeah.
I mean, what you do now in an hour was maybe a day at a time or half a day. But I mean, it's not a crazy difference.
Sure.
It was usable. It was usable, but yeah, for sure a difference.
But you just
Absolutely.
didn't know any better back then, so it didn't seem slow.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And like in healthcare applications, it was the only way to produce your part. So I mean, you didn't have to complain about how slow it was. You were happy because you had something to produce.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, if we I mean, the first application obviously was creation of anatomical models, which is the most simple, where you just copy anatomy
Yeah, yeah.
without adding anything, so it doesn't need special software to turn it into something like a surgical guide, or even to turn it into an implant. Yeah, we were just happy that we had something, and it was unique, and yeah, it
Yeah.
was fun being in the lead.
I bet it was fun back in those days. When you started working on Simplant, were there other surgical guides out there, or was that one of the first?
That was definitely the first. I mean, over time, there's as it always goes. When something is a good idea, there's competition. The way
Sure.
the world works.
Sure, sure.
But at the time, no, there wasn't any competition on guides at the beginning. On software, yes, on planning software, but not yet on guides.
So people were planning implants, but there was no way to convert it into a guided surgery.
Yes, exactly.
Interesting.
That's where we came in, making a difference. Because I mean, planning is one thing, which is very useful. Huh? Then you can
Mm-hmm.
do a sort of mental navigation from your preparation in your head, and on screen you can sort of transfer that to the patient and do the right thing. But it doesn't have the same precision as using a physical guide that will bring you exactly where you need to be.
How did you get your crash course in learning about implants? It's not easy.
No, it's just building up, and by no way I want to claim I'm an expert. I just know some of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, through working closely with dentists and stomatologists and maxillofacial surgeons and prosthodontists and everybody who places them, you learn a lot and you pick up things, and that's how it always goes with new applications.
Yeah. I mean, with so many guided surgery softwares out there now, how does it feel to be the the grandfather of all that? That's pretty amazing.
Yeah, it is. But I mean, if I'm fully honest, what we did at Materialize, the new element was the surgical guides. There was already software existing prior to that with the name of Simplant,
Oh,
where we simply later joined forces with. But the
understood.
sequence
Yeah.
of events really is first the Simplant software, and then the guides, and then everything was merged.
Yeah. So you and all the employees in that department decided it was time to make this dental specific? Is this how it worked?
You're referring now to surgical guides
No,
too
I'm
and
sorry.
Simplant?
Sorry, I pivoted.
You're jumping to OQAM, yes.
OCAM. OCAM, yeah.
Yeah, it was just time to focus. You feel this. I mean, the first phase of the company was several years of programming to make an environment that would work. The big investment, creating all the fundamental technology that was needed. And then when I joined, the product was ready for first commercialization, and we got our first taste and made it work and made it perfect. And now it's just the next phase, and it's the focus phase. Now we know of all the applications. The dental one is a very successful one. It now needs full attention to quickly mature it, and that's the phase. That's the phase we're in, and it makes sense. And we're excited with the whole team to do this. And by the way, it's a very friendly move. It's a focus for 3D Systems. It's a focus for us, and the team is very engaged to make it work. And we have the original founding investors from OQTON back on board in the new company, so that's also a
nice.
very good sign.
Yeah.
They have kept their belief, and it's great times.
Yeah, so it's a software meant to help automate processes. Is that the best way to explain it?
Yes. I think it's best explained with a few examples on what it does.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we are really focusing on the preparation of the digital builds, whether it's 3D printing or CNC. It starts already on the file management side, because that's the first piece of the equation where we see that lots of time is lost. Somewhere you have a design application where the design is finalized of what you want to produce.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you want to produce something, you need to get the file somewhere, and you need to decide which files you want to produce today, or you have to produce today. And there's already quite some time lost with file management, which is not needed. The ERP system knows what needs to be done. We can simply integrate with that. So OQAM software knows which part needs to be produced by when, and we can just take in all these files and then start dispatching over the different machines. But now I'm running a bit ahead of myself. But first of all, so there's the file selection.
Yeah.
Then often these files, they have some small inaccuracies. They need some healing, some fixing that we do automatically. It's completely hands off. And once that's done, we know the file is in good shape. Then we have the first time AI kicking in, and it's a part of AI that just looks at the file and understands what part it is. It will know whether it's a crown, coping, a multi-element bridge. It will know how many elements. It will know it's a dental model and an RPD frame. It automatically detects these things from all the files that are either uploaded or it gets directly from the ERP.
Uh-huh.
And then it will follow for each type a specific predefined route that, of course, our service team helps setting up in the beginning with customers. And then a flow of a whole series of automated tasks starts. The first one is to then orientate the file, and orientating for depending on how you want to work, but for the best result in the business model of the lab, because it's always a compromise between quality, between speed, and also compromise between the time you need to finish it, which is like compensating for less quality. And these are variables you can play with, And sometimes it's more important to have no work or little work on the finishing side because you just don't have the people, or sometimes quality is premium and that will demand another orientation. So there's a lot of tuning there going on in the beginning to make sure the orientation strategy is to the liking of the lab and fully automated. And then we'll make sure that also if then, following the orientation, there are supports or pins in the case of CNC, that they're always easy to remove, leaving the least amount of marks, that type of thing. So that's all. I mean, that starts with the orientation strategy, and then we get that's optionally, but add automatic labels. So you don't need to spend the time in design to add labels, but you still get the savings on the sorting, so that the finishing becomes a lot easier. If it's, for instance, a part that's printed in resin, it makes a lot of sense to do a smart automated hollowing, because then you can save a lot of material.
Yeah.
And I mean, this can easily be 25% of your resin bill that you automatically save through hollowing. And if you do it in the right way, that you still have the right structural integrity for the things you want to do with the model afterwards, this is a big win. And once that's done, I mean, it's obviously optional on hollowing and doesn't apply when you do metal printing, for instance, or when you do CNC, obviously. Then the supports are calculated, again, in a way that the quality is optimal, that you save as much material as possible, as much support as needed, but as little as possible, basically. And there's again lots of tricks. We have a very special letter support we're proud of, that consumes little material, that's easy to remove, and where the bases can be shared among several parts. So you can really squeeze them tight together and have a higher productivity. For RPDs, for instance, we always find a way to avoid the reinforcement bars. It's a matter of tuning it right, and for every machine it can be done. And once that's done, or a bit in interaction with that, we take care of a dense nesting, so that lots of parts can be produced at the same time. And especially for a printer, it's the number of layers that's a big that's in a large extent determining the build speed. So the more you can squeeze into a layer, the more productive you will be.
100%.
And you can just get more out of your machine. Yeah. And so that's what we do. And then even when creating the build files, there are lots of tricks in optimizing the way the scanner moves, the way the support is scanned, because there you don't care that much about quality, you just care about strength. So lots of things you can do to there also optimize the productivity. And the beauty of this all is that it happens automatically.
Yeah.
So maybe a bit a bit long answer about what is the automation. That captures it a bit.
I have a million questions. I want to just kind of go through the workflow like we're a lab, right? So let's say I have 3Shape or Exocad. I imagine you work with both?
Yes. Okay. Yes, we take their designs, yeah.
So up until that point, you don't have anything to do with it. We get the case in, we scan it in, and a designer designs a case, right?
Yes.
After they've designed this case, does it go into your software?
Yeah, the output of the design is what we take.
Okay, so everything gets dumped into your software, and it's not put in a specific place at that point. AI handles that. You know if it's going to be a crown, if it's going to be a framework.
Yeah, so there are many ways.
Yeah.
So if we do an integration, a direct integration, then automatically the cases get ingested into the OQCAM cloud, because we're a cloud-based software.
Okay.
And immediately it's uploaded, and then we'll know what to do. But often there are steps in between. The design just ends up with the file being saved in the directory, and then somebody decides what parts needs being produced, and then they are manually uploaded in the OQCAM software. That's also
okay.
possible.
So let's say I mill out a shaded pucks. You take into account what shade that is, so when it gets to nesting, it gets with the...
Yes.
That's cool. And you also...
Absolutely.
And
Sorry, I was.
no, you're fine. I got a million questions, I tell you. And, and it goes by the return date of when it's finished and prioritizes when it needs to be done first.
Yeah, we can handle that. We have lots of settings, lots of rules in function of priority date. But there's a lot that can be tuned. We can take into account shifts because, sometimes you want to fill your machines in a way that they are ready and the machine is done when the next shift comes in for finishing these parts. So there's so many choices. Sometimes you want to maximize for putting as much in your machine as possible, but sometimes you don't want that because then people are idle and waiting for the machine to get done. So there are so many modes that can be configured. And for instance, there can be a difference between a Friday night where you want to squeeze everything in your machine so you have a lot of things to do on Monday morning, as opposed to, say, a Thursday night where you just want everything to be ready Friday morning when the people come in again. And that is, for instance, where we can play with things. We have like layered nests where you can just stack parts on top of each other automatically, and you can reserve that for the machine run where you have a lot of time. And those machine runs take longer, but if you have the time, great. And if it's a moment where that time is not available, then you just do the regular one-layer nesting. Just an example.
Yeah, no, this is really cool. I mean, it seems like you can really customize it for however your lab works, right?
Yes. The reality of every lab is different. Every lab has different wishes, different problems sometimes, but there's always solutions, and then it's a matter of configuring.
Yeah. Let's say you design 40 crowns. How long does it take the system for it to get to the nesting ready to load to a puck? Is it AI like 90 seconds or?
The time question is very special because or very interesting because we use a thing called scaling of computer power.
Okay.
And that's something you can do in the cloud because cloud software, it's just using arrays of computers that are placed somewhere, and your software decides how many computers you want to use at that time. So we do this dynamically. And when you need 100 files, or 10,000 files or 100,000 files to be done, you can get that more or less in the same time because we'll just scale the computer.
Wow.
And our software has been optimized to do that. If you use it for one part at a time, you will not find great performance because that's also what the software is not meant to do. One by one, you can do in the old way. You don't need our automation. You're not being very efficient if you work one by one. But if you collect everything you want to do for the day or for half the day or the next few hours, then you'll get it in minutes from OQCAM and you'll be very happy. If there's 1 crown and you need to wait a minute for it, you won't be so happy. But if you get 1,000 in a few minutes, you'll be very happy.
Yeah.
So this is the way to use our software.
Interesting. So it's actually not the quantity that matters, it's how much computer power you put behind it determines the time.
Yeah, and we scale that dynamically, so you always get it fast. Our bigger customers, they have lots of files, but they also want the machine to be prepared in time, so we just scale it.
You make it sound so easy. It doesn't sound easy.
There's a lot behind it.
I imagine.
Yeah,
and you mentioned the supports and how you came up with like an interesting new way of support. Can you expand on that a little bit?
Yeah, it's what we call our lattice support. So, we support all the, that's no pun intended, but the different ways, the different ways of supporting shapes. But the lattice one is a very nice one. It's like a scaffold. It looks like interconnected bars.
Mm-hmm.
Because they're interconnected, you can make them very thin and they still keep their strength.
Oh.
And we can also make them such that the entrance in the part is very light. So again, strong enough that during the build process, especially metal printing, which is a very violent process, that it keeps the part in shape. And it also acts as a sufficient heat sink because that's also needed for metal printing.
Yeah.
But still leaves very little marks. And through our algorithm, which is again AI, by the way, so nesting is one of the things that AI is very good at. And then you shouldn't think self-learning because it's different. AI is a broader. Nesting is not a self-learning thing, but it is an AI algorithm to make a very dense nest. We use that. And then one of the things to further compact it is sharing bases of that lattice for multiple parts, and then you can really squeeze them inside each other in 3D. Like the dental parts, they often have a U shape. You can interlock these U's in a very compact way, and depending on how the lab was working before, but we can sometimes double capacity. Sometimes it's only 20% extra, but that's sort of a minimum. Our nesting is definitely best because it's so optimized for dental parts as well.
Yeah, but what you're saying is, I mean, if you're doing a bunch of metal frameworks, and because of the arch shape, this AI will fit them in to maximize the space like perfectly, so you can get more per print.
Yes, exactly. With metal printing, we need to be a bit careful though, because if you get too much heat, you also get problems with quality.
Yeah.
But so we play with that.
AI knows to compensate for all that?
Well, it's again an excellent question. Let me continue to speak very openly. AI is a very important tool, but it's only a tool.
Okay, yep.
So we use it where AI is very strong, and then we compensate where AI is weaker with a lot of logic in the software. And that's the best way to do things. Purely AI, it does nice things, but it will never be perfect. Fundamentally, it's often statistics, and statistics are only right in so many percentage of the cases. So you need to compensate, and that's also where we're making the difference. We're fully dental. We're focusing. We know how dental parts look like, and we focus to do this in the best possible way so that there's a maximum of satisfaction.
So how does your software know what cam I'm using? I mean, does it matter? Don't some printers have different, parameters than other printers and mills and all that?
Oh yeah, absolutely. So we can only do this because we have good cooperation with so many machine manufacturers, and because we have so many people that have experience with all these machines and can make it work. So yes, every machine is very different. Even alone, they typically have their own format, which you need to know to interface with. So yes, the setup of OQCAM is per machine, and we need to know what machines you're using, the exact details, because only then it's working. But the good thing is we have these corporations and we can support most.
So if you go to a lab that wants to use this and they have, I don't know, a printer you've never associated with before, is that something that your company learns to work with, or is it just not compatible?
No, then our ambition is to become compatible. So we have less and less of these situations nowadays. But if we encounter a printer that we don't support yet, then we're always happy to work with the printer manufacturer to work towards that compatibility.
Sure, I don't know why they wouldn't.
Yeah, exactly. It's good for them as well. Huh?
Yeah.
It lowers the threshold of their machine being used. So why would they be against it? So we typically work well with all the printer manufacturers. And for us, it's important because it's part of our mission. We cannot simplify CAM if we only support certain machines. So this is important for us to have a broad compatibility, and we're spending a lot of energy in it. In the beginning, it was a lot more, but now that we support most machines, it's less energy, but still, if they're new ones, we will always spend the effort making it work.
Yeah. How often do you see a new piece of CAM? Probably not too often these days.
Well, to be honest, I think there's some time for consolidation, though.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
I mean, more on the printer side than on the CNC side, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
But there are so many different printers and so many techniques. And is this really all needed? We just need a few things that work well, right?
Yeah. Welcome to our
and
industry.
Yes, we need different. Yeah, we need different materials. Absolutely, there's a lot of value in that. But do we really need 100 printers that print in the same resin?
Yeah. So true.
But the compatibility has also another reason why we're doing it. We also fundamentally believe that there is a problem in the industry where you see that often you have in a lab one person that knows one software quite well
Yeah.
that comes or that is used with one particular machine. And then another person who knows another software quite well that is used for another machine in the lab.
Yep.
And this is scattering so much the knowledge. And then if one of these persons is out, which, I mean, big chance if everybody knows something that somebody is out, then it's always trouble if something happens.
Of course.
So
Yeah.
we want to be the software that can drive all these printers. And then if the specialist of one particular machine is suddenly unexpectedly not available, then at least the other people can take over because it's the very same OQCAM software driving it. It's the same principles, and you don't need to master the machine itself. So we hear that a lot from customers. That's where they get peace of mind. When something stressful happens, like a person not showing up in the morning or a specialist dropping out or is just an overload, then they are relaxed because OCAM will already do big part of the work. That will be done and they can focus on the remaining things. And apart from efficiency and saving money and saving material and enhancing productivity, is just that peace of mind, which is also really appreciated by our customers.
Yeah, I bet. What size labs are using this? Is it only the big labs, or can smaller labs see
No,
benefit?
absolutely, because we have a very nice business model.
Mm-hmm.
It is value based, meaning that you pay for the value you get from the software.
Hmm.
And if you are a lab that only has one machine, which is not all that productive, compared to the real big machines,
Sure.
that is, you will only pay a small amount for using OCAM software. If you are a huge lab that has a large battery of resin printers and metal printers and CNC machines, and they all run on OQTON, yeah, you'll pay a premium fee because our price simply goes by machine, and that makes it very easy to digest. So if you're small, even if you're big, and you want to start with one machine, I mean, you get going. Typically, depends on the size of the machine as well, because we look at productivity. That's real value-based pricing. But the average machine, if you only use one, it's below $2,000, so it's affordable for everybody. If you use it more machines, the you will pay multiples of that amount. If your machines get bigger, you'll pay again multiples, but everybody will invest an amount in the software, which is guaranteeing a return on investment, which is on average it's 150%. So
Wow.
you invest 100, you get 100 web back to pay for the investment, and you still have 150. That's what it means. So it's really worth it, big or small, whether it's a partial use in the production facility or complete. It's always worth it, and that's also what we allow for small and big to start with one machine, then to see what it does, to see how it makes a difference, and then typically we see, yeah, we're a painkiller for a pain the lab has,
Yeah.
and it's addictive. So after an order, there's often an order for more machines, and it keeps growing, and it's a fair business model, but it's with a low threshold, so everybody can get going.
No, I love it because there's a lot of smaller labs out there that only has a handful of technicians, and if you can automate that nesting and maximize your one mill that's working or your one printer, it just seems to make sense.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to dive a bit deeper on the question you asked on CNC with
Mm-hmm.
respect to the selection of the disc, because this is indeed a big part of it. So you throw your volume of the day at OCAM, it starts recognizing which are the parts you typically do in CNC, it starts preparing, it reads the color information, so it knows what disc to pick. but it will also optimize for the thickness of the dick of the puck.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it will look for the thinnest puck possible of the right color, and not just within your stock, but within your stock that is close to being completely used, because that's the only way to reduce your inventory as well. Because I mean, every lab has these pucks that can take 1 or 2 more crowns that linger because everybody forgets about it, and the chance that 1 crown fits in is too low to keep trying it. But the software simply knows, and it will tell you, take that puck and it's finished off and you're done with it. And that is, that's a game changer.
Yeah, so your software remembers all the half-filled pucks.
Yeah,
That's crazy cool.
And the pin placement, that's another thing where lots of software claim automation, but I mean, we have cracked the nut. The pins are placed in an automated way. It's again AI that's detecting the pin-friendly regions, as we call it. So it automatically finds out the interproximal areas, the margin lines, the crowns, obviously, and so it knows where it can place the pins, and then it will just try to fit them according to your rules, how many pins you want for a single crown, a bridge of 3 elements, and so on. It then just puts it in the right disk. I mean, it's such a shame that you have all these technicians, highly skilled, spending their whole day clicking, putting pins.
Yeah.
The computer can do that. The same with technicians playing Tetris the whole day to put parts on a machine. It's such a shame. It's not fulfilling for these people, and I'm also very glad to understand now, after all these years, that what we bring to the table is not AI that is sending people home. Fortunately, it is AI that takes over the boring work of people in an organization where typically there are not enough people and there's so much work and important work that needs to be done, but that doesn't get done because people are playing Tetris or placing pins. And I'm so glad we were able to help and change that.
That's a great point. I mean, I don't think anyone enjoys nesting when they could be doing something else. Does it handle multi-layering discs very well?
Yes, we do support that. Also there, I mean, some of our partnerships are getting also more deeper, because you have some machines that know exactly which disk is where, and then we can take this into account. So yeah, we also have continuous improvements to make these type of changes all the time. We typically have every 2 weeks a new update with some improvements. So we're very, very dynamic.
I imagine it's constantly. So a lab is interested. What do you need to know from that lab in order to see if it's compatible, to see if, to start the process? What do you need to know?
We need to know what type of machines they are using,
so
we can confirm the compatibility. And then typically we do an intake, so we know how the lab works and what are these compromises between speed, accuracy, finishing, how they work with shifts, how they deal with urgency cases, all those things we need to know, and then we help configuring. And then all we ask is that there is a few hours of investment to get to know the software.
And that's it.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong on this point, because once it's set up, you hardly need to use the software. It runs all automatic. But what doesn't work is expecting that automation falls from the sky in the beginning. We need to tune the software the way you want it. So we need to work together with the lab a little bit to make sure it is exactly doing what the lab wants. And for the lab also to get to know the software, because it's fundamentally different. Traditional softwares, they think like you have a puck or you have a machine and I want to fill it with particular parts. Where are your parts? Start loading it into the machine. That's not how OQCAM works. OQCAM looks at, give us your production for the day or the next hours, and we will start dividing it over your machines,
Yeah.
and we'll treat it the way you want. And like if you have a resin printer that spawns a new plate every 2 hours, we'll just give you all the plates of the day. But this doesn't fall from the sky. We need to know how you treat that machine. How full do you want it? What is your orientation strategy? So we need to tune that in the beginning. And instead of working with the software to put specific parts on a platform, you're shifting to checking if the software does the work right. That's the only thing you need to do. But it is different. It is different than the other softwares. So it takes a few hours in the beginning of an investment. And that's an engagement we're asking. It's not more than that, but it doesn't fall from the sky either.
Yeah, and it makes sense because, like we mentioned earlier, every lab is different. Every lab is unique. So what do? Do you go to the lab and spend time learning their processes?
No, we visit very few customers. This is a bit, we started commercializing in the midst of Corona, when everybody was working from home and working online. And we have sort of embraced it. And I like it though, because it's super efficient for both sides. Huh? So there's no need to travel typically. So there's no need for factoring in those costs in our prices either.
Mm-hmm.
It's we can do a lot online in a web session of an hour. You can take a good take in, knowing what's needed, and then we'll do a training of an hour, and then you need to start working with it as a lab, and we'll support and we'll dial in right away. We'll help you, and after a few hours you get going, and then you're hooked. But there's no need to visit. Very occasionally we do it, but I mean, several of our biggest deals with worldwide players, they have been done completely online. This is great. It's a new world after Corona.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, while it's fun to visit places, you're right. It keeps your costs down. It keeps the customer's costs down. They don't have to be a day out of production learning things. I mean, so much benefit from that.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
I agree.
I think it's fascinating. I think it's worth for any lab to look into it. Can a lab contact you at like no cost just to find out how it works specifically for their lab, ask questions?
Of course.
Yeah, how do they start that process?
Yeah. Just contact us. I mean, through the OQCAM web.
That's
probably the best.
OQCAM.com, right?
Exactly, OQCAM.com. And then we are keen actually on providing good service. This is maybe another interesting point. It's more a business point to discuss a bit, but we are cloud-based and subscription-based, which I think is also the best for the customers, because it means that every year customer needs to decide whether the subscription is renewed or not, and it will only be renewed if we will have done a good job in terms of product quality, in terms of service. So we are forced to provide those things in a good way. This is your best insurance as a user for quality going forward. And I've seen it so many times throughout my career with these perpetual software models where you sell once, hit and run style, big software deal. And then the sales guy is gone and you never see the person again. And then maybe there is some maintenance collected, but the reality is that often people do not take maintenance, or they take it like every 5 years or so, and the maintenance is only 15%, or maybe you push it to 20% of the license price. Then people get disgruntled if you do that. So it always ends up the same way. It's hit and run business. It stops. The application becomes overloaded. It's no longer maintained. It becomes slow. It becomes buggy, and it simply stops. And then a new competitor comes in, and everything starts all over. There's a new software. People jump towards the new software, and it's hit and run again, and it goes south again after a few years. And as a user, you end up paying every time a premium price to have a lifetime license, which you don't use anymore after a few years. While with subscription, you are forcing the company to do a good job.
Yeah, and keeping the customer happy and updated. 100%.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, and the initial investment is obviously much lower because it's subscription. It's below the license fee, but you're forcing the company to do a good job, and then everybody wins because then you typically also stay faithful if the company does a good job, and the company is also happy because there is every year a subscription fee, which is long term, way better than one time a heavy license fee. So we have purposely chosen this model, both subscription as the value-based, because it's fair for everybody, and it's a good partnership between the software company and the users.
Yeah, and it also allows smaller labs to utilize it and larger labs to utilize it and not be in the same price point.
Exactly, yeah.
So you've mentioned that a bunch of big players use your service. If a lab was wanting some on-hands experience, would they be able to reach out to these labs? I mean, you don't have to name them now, but
yes, we can do that. It's funny. You hear my hesitation.
yeah.
We have a lot of customers that are very happy with what we're doing, and they sort of want to keep their secret sauce.
Sounds like a lab.
It seems, and then it seems almost the bigger they are, the less likely they are that we were allowed to talk about it.
Understood.
But I mean, we do have several testimonials on our website of customers we appreciate, also many US customers, but it seems to be like most people are protective. But there are some names where we are allowed to share them in an individual way, not in a public way. So
sure.
Unfortunately, not here today. But
Understood.
individually, we can share a few names.
Yeah. I just want people to understand that if you're interested in automating this sort of thing in your lab, but you're unsure even after talking to you, that there's options out there to learn more and to see how they work in real time.
Yeah, absolutely. And what I like about the dental industry as well, it's to me, I mean, compared to other industries in healthcare, then it's no nonsense. I really like it.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah, and people are typically open, honest, and there's a whole network. So yeah, it's very much okay to also ask other customers what they think of our software, and we can point you to a few names, and there are names on our website as well.
Perfect. Well, Kris, this is great. I learned a lot about automating and nesting, and I don't know why a lab wouldn't look into this if you're doing any sort of printing and milling, which is basically every lab right now. Why would you not just get the demo, check it out, head to the website, OQCAM. Kris, thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Elvis, for having me. It was great sharing a few ideas.
Yeah, I had no idea that this much was going on behind the scenes. I'm definitely going to mention it to my lab because I know we do spend some time nesting.
Yeah, great. Let's talk more about that.
Excellent. Well, Kris, thank you so much. We appreciate it. And I imagine you do dental shows, so we'll see you there sometime.
Absolutely, yes.
Excellent.
Thank you, Elvis.
Yep, have a good day.
You too. Bye.
A huge thanks to Kris for coming on our podcast. I'm really sorry I was not available at that time. Until you come up with a way to automate high-end ceramic work, I'll just have to keep working, but my apologies. But seriously, as more and more of dentistry goes digital, so should some of the tasks to make the restorations. But that definitely doesn't mean that we still need talented and passionate people to make them look real and spectacular, which I think I do. If you want to learn more about what Kris and OQCAM can do for your lab, head over to OQCAM.com to learn more about the world of AI automation. And this is a really big deal right now, Elvis. So Check it out, guys.
It's a hot topic, and
Yep.
Kris seems to be heading it up.
Yep, no doubt.
All right, everybody. Sorry that I'm not in the best of mood, and I probably sound a little weird, but I will be on the mend, and we will talk to you next week.
Yeah, and feel better, Elvis. Have a good week, guys. Bye. Yeah. Mostly it's just a nasty cold and a sore throat and just feeling overall
The views and opinions expressed on the Voices from the Bench podcast are those of the guest and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of the host or Voices from the Bench, LLC.